Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of hell. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Welcome to Foster to Foster, and now here's your host, Dr. Anissa McNeil.
Welcome to Foster Radio Show, and happy holidays to everyone. I'm so excited to be in the studio today with Rogelio. Good morning, Rogelio. How are you?
Good morning, ma'am. I'm doing great. Thank you.
It is so wonderful to have you back here today on Foster Radio Show. Can you tune in our audience? What were we talking about the last time you were here?
Well, actually, we were talking about, many things, but mostly what was the struggle in the daily life of how the foster youth goes through every single day.
Every single day. And the education outcomes. So I was so thrilled to have you on the show last time to talk about education and how education is such a big part of a foster youth's success. And to my I found out this wonderful story about your experience in foster care. And I wanted to have you back on the show to explore that a little bit more. I think that, one, I say this all the time to you and to everyone about you, I think that you are tremendous. I think that you are very exceptional. And so I want to just dive right in so that hopefully our audience will view the shows back to back and get to know a little bit more. So last time you were here, we talked a little bit about how you entered into the foster care system. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course. First of all, I was living with an uncle that had brought me over to the United States, and hoping that I was gonna go into school and help him out just a little bit, because he was a street vendor.
Okay.
So he would sell corns, chips, and raspados, and so I would help him out after school doing that, and everything was going well until certain things that when he would get angry, he was very impulsive, and he would just kick me out of the house most of the time. Wouldn't feed me whenever he wanted to, or he just didn't feel like it. And throughout those struggles, we met a guy who became a friend and who started inviting us over. And then I started telling him a little bit about how was the situation with me and my uncle. And he knew a guy who lived in a group home, which is called Casa Libre, which is still currently around MacArthur Park, which is a very, very nice program who they pick up any kid who's being kicked out of their house or who's been having addictions problems, and they're trying to help him out to keep him on his feet and put him in school, keep him in school, and then I went to the program.
How old were you at that point, Rogelio?
I want to say, almost 16.
Okay.
And
so what age did you come to America? How old were you?
I was 12.
You were 12. And what's your home country?
Mexico.
Mexico. So you came from Mexico to America at 12 to live with an uncle.
Yes.
And that wasn't what you and your family imagined it would be.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Uncle, he painted a beautiful picture. He said I was going to have a great life, and he was going to help me out to become a better person and hopefully have a better life.
Only to find out that wasn't altogether accurate.
Definitely.
And I can only imagine being here at 12, leaving all that you know in Mexico to be with your family, to be with your uncle.
Yes.
And that having not had worked out.
Not at all.
That not only had an impact on you, but imagine how all of your relatives in Mexico felt or maybe were thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
wow, we sent him here and wow, he's going to do great.
Yeah.
Only to find out not so much. Had you had any contact with them at that time?
No, unfortunately, the first time he actually got mad at me, I experienced this side of him was within I want to say a month that we were here.
Okay.
And then all the numbers that we gathered and we brought with us so we can have communications with my parents. That night that he all of a sudden he got mad. He ripped off all those numbers and everything, all the information that we had, so we can
Can't contact them.
contact them. And he burned them. And honestly, that in a way broke my world because we didn't have communications with them since after that for like about 5 years, I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's daunting to think that at 12 in a new country where you know no one to be supposedly in a loving home with your uncle to take care of you, that now your connection to everything that you knew is up in smoke.
Yeah.
Did you come here with anyone else? Were you all alone, or did?
I was here all alone. He was the
Wow.
only person I knew that was here with me, and I was supposed to be close with, but unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way.
So here comes a family friend, and he introduces you to Casa Libre. Is that correct?
Casa Libre, yeah,
Okay.
that is correct.
And what happens? How did you get from living with your uncle to Casa Libre?
Like I said, this friend, he knew this guy who lived there, and then I think I remember telling you before a little bit that this friend, the one who was going to buy raspados and chips almost every day, I finally had a contact with him because he decided to stay a little bit longer. And after school, when I got out, I got there and he was there. We were introduced, and then we became friends. Then he started inviting me over, so we became pretty good friends. And then he wanted to be a godfather to me, and eventually that was the plan. We were gonna go back to Mexico, and then I was gonna do my first communion, and he was gonna be my godfather. So since then, I started calling him Godfather,
Okay.
and that was the plan. But when my uncle will kick me out of the house, I will go to his house and stay the night, and my uncle will go and pick me up whenever his
Okay.
anger would go by. So this friend, he knew this guy, and then through this guy, I was able to we were able to contact the director of the program, and we talked, and then she just pretty much gave me an interview on the spot, and she accepted me.
Okay.
Yeah, my godfather, he's disabled, and then so he only lives from the government, from the little check that he gets. So unfortunately, I couldn't stay with him for much longer.
Okay. So tell me, so from Casa Libre to foster care,
Yeah.
what happened? How did you get there?
I was turning 17, and I think I was like 17 and ish.
Okay.
And then at the age of 18, I was supposed to leave the program, no matter what, if I had somewhere to go or I didn't. And since they saw that I was a good kid, I was doing good, and I was doing activities, after school activities, and I was doing everything what I'm supposed to be doing in a way,
Okay.
because I wanted to do school. And since they saw that, they wanted to seek for more help for me.
Okay.
And that's how, and eventually they found out that they could put me into the system and hopefully help me out from there.
Okay. Wow. What a story of how you finally got into the foster care system. And at 18,
Yeah.
that's daunting to be in a protected system like foster care, where you go from group home to group home, and at the age of 18.
Yeah. Well,
What did you have in mind at 18? At 18, you thought, what would your life be like at 18?
well, I was still in high school. I hadn't turned 18 yet.
Okay.
I went in, I think, a little bit before I turned 17 into the
Okay.
system. And then, but the plan was to seek for more help for me and then put me into the system. And once I was there, I went to my first foster home. And at this time,
Is that because you had to leave Casa Libre?
because not because I had to leave, but because it was better for me somehow. And they were
Okay.
gonna, like they said, hopefully I was gonna have some parents, some foster parents, and they were gonna help me out. And hopefully, if they were good people, maybe adopt me, not legally, but into their home, into their families, and welcome me as one of them, hopefully, eventually.
So I know that our audience is listening to this and they're wondering, okay, here is this young kid, because at that time you're 17 years old.
Yeah.
Here's this young kid. He's here in America from Mexico. Did the courts try to contact your parents in Mexico? Did they try to contact anyone in Mexico to help you?
When I went to the system, they did. That was the plan, actually. Once they have found my parents, they were gonna send me back. And my attorney said that unfortunately that's gonna be the short plan, but the long-term plan is to hopefully keep you here, and I mean, we can help you to go to school and hopefully find you a safe home.
What was your interaction with your parents at that time?
We didn't had any contact.
So
at
you
all.
didn't talk to them, only the attorney and the judge?
Well, technically nobody talked to them because no one could find them at that time. Since I didn't have any information about them, I just knew where they were, and through that, that's how they were trying to reach out to anyone who can be anywhere in that place, near that place, to be able to find them.
So they searched your hometown in Mexico, and no one knew your parents or could identify
Yeah.
where your parents. And so at that point, they closed the extradition of your case. So now we can't just send a young person back to Mexico.
Yeah.
Back to where? Back to who?
Yeah,
So I want the audience to understand that, because some of our audience won't understand why the court contacted Mexico but didn't have an opportunity to talk to your parents or to send you back. So to educate the audience a little bit, you have to understand that he was a minor at that time, and the court does do everything that they can to contact individuals or your parents or an aunt or a cousin, any relative in your home country. If they can contact that person anyone in your home country, they will try to prove that that person is somehow related to you, and if that person can care for you. If that person can, then the young person will be returned back to their home country, to the parents and your origin and the family that you knew.
Yes.
Because you came here at such a mature age, in foster care language. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like 12 is kind of like, you know these people.
Yeah.
And so, but when that does not happen, when the courts are unable to locate anyone that knows that Rogelio is my relatives, and how do you know that? Can you prove that? Then that's why that portion of your case was closed.
Yes.
So I just want to break it down, because the audience will say, well, if he contacted his parents, why didn't he go back to Mexico?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't. Yeah.
Okay. So now that must have been daunting, because that's a hearing. So you had to go to court as a young man and hear all of the actions of the court, that we tried to do 1, 2, 3, 4. We're unable to locate anyone. So this is now what we call an unaccompanied minor.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
did that feel like?
Loneliness. Honestly, I felt empty, lonely, and I was in a place where I had nobody to go to but the system.
Right. So let me try to get inside of your mind and your heart for a minute, Rogelio. Here you are as a young boy. You're 12 years old. You're just inching into becoming a teenager. You leave Mexico with all of this hope. Like, my parents have told me that I'm going to live with my uncle. It's going to be a good thing. You get to America and it's not so great. And here you are. What were you thinking about your parents, about your uncle? You grew up in Mexico, so you had friends and family there.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, what was going on, at least in your head and in your heart. What did you think?
Before I came here.
No,
When-
after this, you
After.
have to have a moment of reflection, like, because if I were you, I would be thinking, why did my parents send me?
Of course. Honestly, my parents were very poor to the point where it was difficult to provide for us, for all of us, and we thought that somehow having one less child and hopefully knowing that he's gonna be better over there,
Right.
it was gonna be a little bit easier. But at the same time, very difficult to let a child go
Exactly.
because it's literally one of your own, and it's hard to just let anyone go. And as for my side, I was excited, but I was sad at the same time
Exactly.
because leaving your family, your only people that you grew up with, and it was very, very difficult. I'm not exactly. It was painful to think that what I have left, what would I have done if I wouldn't have come to this country, and would I have been better? Would I have been in school, or even though this whole struggle that I'm going through right now is still worth it, to say it was still better to be here instead of being in Mexico instead.
I get that.
Yeah.
I have a school and an orphanage in Haiti. And when people ask me about foster care is one of the luxuries of being in the United States, because when you are poor in Haiti and you cannot, and I see this a lot, when you cannot take care of your children, many parents give their child to an orphanage not because they don't love them,
Yeah.
but because they cannot care for them. So when that happens at the orphanage, we have two parents that walk away. I've seen a mother just pass out. She couldn't even walk away from the orphanage. She didn't want to give away her child, but she wanted her child to eat.
Yeah.
She wanted her child to maybe have a pair of shoes. So this was a choice. And so I really get it, because I live it, I see it. And when I'm there with my orphanage in Haiti, I see this in person. The level of poverty is so low that this is a act of love. And I know a lot of people don't really get that, but if you ever experience this in your lifetime, it is an act of love, and it's a painful act of love.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is. Unfortunately, it's something that I believe that those good parents don't want to do that, but because hopefully that in their mind those kids are gonna be a little bit better. They can feel a little bit of relief.
Right, because they want the best. They're just trying to figure out a path
Yes.
for you to have the best.
Exactly.
That's what they're trying to do, is to figure out that path.
Yes.
So I get it. I understand it. And I wanted to break it down a little bit so that when other people hear this, because in America we don't hear that a lot. Like you're so poor, you give away your child.
Yeah.
But to break it down so that people really understand it. So I'm going to fast forward back to where you were before we go to a short break. I'm going to fast forward. Now here you enter the foster care system and you're at your first foster parent's home. What was that like?
At the beginning, it was nerve-wracking. I was excited and I was confused and I was lost at the same time. I didn't know how to be there. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't communicate my emotions properly in a way, and I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know if I was supposed to be happy or sad, but I knew one thing, that it was somewhere that I was gonna be saved and I was gonna have roof in my head, and hopefully I was gonna be fed. That's one thing that I knew.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Did you get a chance to hear that? That foster care provided for him a roof over his head, somewhere where he would be safe. And he said, hopefully I will be fed. I want you to hear those words from Rogelio, because those are the hopes of foster children. I say this often, that children don't come into foster care after having a day at the park. They don't have a lovely day at the park. They don't go to grandma's house and have this beautiful family event, and then somehow their family drives them to children's court. It doesn't happen that way. These are children that have experienced trauma, abuse, neglect, and they have nothing else. And so for a young person, if you can imagine being a very young child, not able to work on your own or not even knowing the language of the country that well, and now being in someone else's home, you hear Rogelio say, I don't know what to feel. Should I be happy? Should I be sad? How do I express my feelings? I want America to really feel those feelings, Rogelio, because lots of people may be under the misconception that once you get into foster care, it's a parade, and that you came to foster care because this was one stop after Disneyland, and it is not. It's a far cry from that. So we're going to take a short break, a very short break, and hear these wonderful commercial about UBN, our radio show, and we'll be back in just a second. Foster youth has a chance by providing a way through education. Please visit us at edworks4u.org or call our offices at 213-634-0044. Education works for all of us. The Unstoppable Awards is a nonprofit organization that provides scholarships to foster youth. If you are a foster youth graduating from high school and live in Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, or San Bernardino County, we'd like to offer a scholarship to you if you have a 2.3 to 3.2 GPA, you've overcome some significant challenges, and you've been accepted to a college, university, or trade school. Please visit our website at www.unstoppableawards.org or call our office at 213-634-0044. We'd like to help you. We'd like to make you unstoppable. Right Way Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that supports transition-age foster youth throughout the Los Angeles County. Our goal is to reduce the homelessness and unemployment rates and to increase the high school graduation and college enrollment rates. We do this by providing individual case management and mental health services to each participant to increase their self-sufficiency. To get involved, please visit our website at www.therightwayfoundation.org or call our office at 323-903-5021. The Hair Garden, where we grow hair from the roots, is a full-service hair salon and supplies
located at 40119 Marietta Hot Springs Road, number 103C, Marietta, California. We are open on Mondays through Saturdays from 9 to 6 p.m. Come in and purchase your hair supplies or receive a full hair service or let us restore your hair. We have weekly specials. Call the Hair Garden at 951-698-8444 or visit our website at www.hairgardenmarietta.com. That's www.hairgardenmarietta.com. We look forward to seeing you. Happy holidays.
We're back to Foster Radio Show, and I'm Dr. Anissa McNeil. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and happy holidays, America. I'm here in the studio with Rogelio Garcia, and he is telling us about his experience in foster care as an immigrant to the U.S. Tell us a little bit more, Rogelio. We left off, you're 17, you're in the foster care system. Summarize for us, what was it like being in foster care?
Honestly, it was crazy. First of all, because you don't know what to expect, because you don't know how was it gonna be or what is it even gonna be. Being at our first foster home was, I want to say, it was a crazy experience in a way, because first of all, your first foster parents, it can be nice people, or it can be just good people that are willing to help you. And these, my first foster parents were not so much.
Tell us a little bit about that. What happened with them?
They had five kids, so with me it was gonna be 6 kids, and that's the maximum amount the foster parents can have.
So they
in their
had
home.
5 other foster kids?
Yeah,
And you were number 6?
I was number 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the lady had 2 kids of her own.
So there's 8 kids in the house.
8 kids in the house, and then those kids, every time, I guess, for whatever reason, she said that those kids were living at her sister's house, which was across her house.
Okay.
They were living there, so she can have those kids in there, and they wouldn't have any issues, because I think she was only able to have 6 kids in total. Doesn't matter if there was included on her own or foster kids. So with me it was 6. So, and 4 of them, 2 of them were siblings, and the other 2 were also siblings.
Okay.
And it was one more person and then me.
Okay. So what was that experience?
At the beginning it was nice. It was really nice. They were being kind, and they were being nice, and anything I needed was there. If I was hungry, if I needed a shower, and then little by little they start changing. They start really showing what kind of people they really are. They started scheduling our meals, which was twice a day on the weekends, and then in the morning we'll have breakfast, and it was very limited. And then around 3 we'll have our lunch, and then around 7 we'll eat our last meal. But it wasn't I want to say it wasn't even a meal. It was like just a snack, just to have something in your stomach before you go to bed. But because I was in school, I was doing after school activities, and then I would get home till like 7 or 8 in the night. So sometimes I wouldn't even get my dinner, because it was after dinner time for them. Yeah. And on the weekends, the guy, he would ask me to help on do the lawn, do his yard, clean, and every night before we go to bed, everyone needs to help out, do some chores in the house, which was okay, you know. I didn't mind it. It was a strategy that she has, so we can all cooperate in the house, and then we can also learn how to clean. And I didn't mind that at all. But what they did try to do to me was that they, for some reason, um, she made me do her kids' chores, and according to her, it was because he knew how to do them and I didn't, and because of that, I had to like work extra, and because I had to work extra, I, for some weird reason, I didn't get to eat as much as they did because we weren't exactly her kids, because we were coming from the outside.
I hear that all too much, Rogelio. You and so many other foster youth have shared with me that their foster parents treat them altogether differently than their kids. I've even gone into some homes, Rogelio, and there's one refrigerator for the family and one refrigerator for the foster kids.
Yeah.
And when you look in that refrigerator for the foster kids, it's nothing but chicken nuggets, maybe some milk, all this processed food, and very little of it. And then when you look in the refrigerator for the family, it's fresh fruit, vegetables, milk, tea, lemonade. It's two different lives.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it is when everybody comes to the table, everybody comes to the table, and this is your plate, and then this is the family's plate.
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, our food was very limited. Everything was. We always. I started feeling like an outsider, like a real outsider, because I mean I was an outsider already, but just because I was in a foster home, those people didn't really make you feel as one of them, and I understood in a way, but I couldn't process that. I couldn't understand why, and I couldn't comprehend what was. I don't know if they hated like outsiders, if they hated foster kids, or if they had like some type of stereotypes foster kids that were in probation and they were mean, or they did drugs, or they were crazy. Everyone was different, you know.
Right.
And
Did you get a chance to leave that home?
I did after 7 months.
Okay.
After being there for 7 months, I left that home because not because they had a different home for me, but because they found out that her own kids was living with her.
Okay, so she
had-
violated the regulation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's the reason why. And I went to my second foster home, which was all the way in South Central. And I was going to school in East LA, El Sereno, which was super far away. So I used to wake up at 4, 5 in the morning to get there at 8.
Wow.
And those people, they started up right right away. The lady was very, she always had this attitude face. It was almost like she was always angry, but she wasn't very nice.
Okay.
Well, actually she wasn't nice at all because when I got there, she was like, "This is your room. This is where you sleep. This is the kitchen. If you're hungry, make yourself something to eat. We're here, and then if we're not here, you have to go with your friends or go somewhere." I couldn't stay inside if they weren't in the house, and all the food that she made, it was only for her kids. If I was hungry, I needed to make something for myself. And also, after school, when I would get home like super late too. They wouldn't be there in the house. I would have to wait for them until they get home so I can go in with them. So sometimes they would get home till like 11, 12 in the night. I remember this one time when she got home till like 1 in the morning. And I was like falling asleep on the sidewalk, pretty much, of the house.
Wow. Did you report this to your social worker?
I did.
They?
I did.
And what did the social worker say? Did you end up staying at that house?
I stayed there for 3 months. 3 months. And the reason why they couldn't move me or like take
Right
me to
away.
a different home.
It's because they didn't have another place.
Exactly. And not a lot of people want to take a 17-year-old kid because usually they're crazy or they're chaotic or they just run
That's
off.
the assumption.
Yeah,
That's the assumption is that they've been in the system all this time,
Exactly.
and these are the most damaged kids.
Exactly.
And I want to talk about that a little bit because you can hear Rogelio say no one wants to take a 17-year-old kid, but the emphasis on that is kid. That he's still a kid at 17 years old. He's still a young man at 17 years old, and it's an atrocity. I'm just going to call it for what it is. It's an atrocity that we would have foster parents that we pay that treat children like this. I think we need to have more accountability in the system. What system allows young people to sit outside because the foster parent isn't home? What until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning? We need to have way more accountability and take the profitization out of foster care. If you're screening them and you find out that they're in this for the money, stop having them be foster parents. We're having so many children grow up in the foster care system and they're only treated like a check. We've got to do better, America. We've got to do better. How many stories will we hear like Rogelio, that he's being treated like a secondhand child because he's a foster kid? If that's how we want to continue the system, that is what it will be. So we have to stop pretending, Rogelio, like foster care is this lovely, lovely place when we know that we have people who are only taking in foster kids so that they get money.
Yes.
And that's why you're here today saying how you were treated in the foster care system. We have to get to the point where hearing your story should be enough for us to take action to make sure that no one else will experience that. So tell us about, before we end the show, tell us about what's going on now. We left with that. I know you're going to college. I know you drive. But tell us how you got to be in college and a little bit about that process.
When I graduated in 2011. I started working really hard, and I started going to college. My first semester, I took 2 classes and 2 full-time jobs.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because of I was working so hard, I didn't really have time for school. So I dropped out of college, and then I started working. And then in 2013, I go back. I wasn't working as much, but I was like, I really want to do school, and I really want to become something bigger than myself. And so for that, I feel like going to school would be a good idea. I didn't know exactly what I want to do then.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I was in school, and then I can't concentrate in classes. I can't learn. I can't do school.
Why weren't you able to concentrate?
Honestly, I will doze off and during class times, and my mind will wander off completely. I will be very distracted with anything, and most of the time, it's silly to say that, or to even feel that you are literally sitting in the classroom just staring at something and you don't know what that is. But it's not really what you're doing on the instant. It's more like what's going on in your head.
In your head.
And your mind just wonder, and you don't know what exactly. The most painful part is that you start to feel like you're not a person that should be in school. You're not a person that that can do school because of whatever reason. I started seeing a therapist then,
Okay.
and the goal was to be able to focus, to learn how to focus, to learn how to concentrate, and not wander your mind off so much. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. I was very distracted, and I couldn't do school. I couldn't do my homework. Every time that I would read, it would make me very sleepy. And then, so I drop out, and then I just work instead. And in 2016, 3 years later, I go back to school. I'm very excited. I take 2 classes, math and a painting class, drawing class. It was that semester was the fall semester of 2016. So it was very excited. I was really good, and I was doing my homework. I was doing really good. And then spring semester comes, and I feel like everything goes back to the same thing. For some reason, every time that I read, every time that I try to concentrate and do homework, it's very, very hard. And I don't know if it's because of all the struggles and all the times that were very rough when I was in foster home or when I was with my uncle, that accumulated some kind of trauma that have created some kind of distortions in my mind that I feel like I can't learn anymore.
I think you need to explore that a little bit, because if you were able to learn in high school and graduate from high school and never fall asleep sleeping in high school in the midst of trauma, and when all of it is going on, if I were you, I would take a moment and explore that a little bit more. And the reason why you hear me saying that is I work with a lot of foster youth that are your age.
Yeah.
And it's in this moment in life where you have to structure your own life.
Exactly.
It's in this moment of life. This is the first moment in your life where you have this downtime. When you're not in school, it's what? It's absolutely silent. And you get all this time to think about when you were 12, when you were 13, when you were 14, when you were 15. And so now you're at that point in life where you actually have to learn how to live with your experience.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? When you're going through it, you're kind of growing through it.
Yeah.
But when you become an adult, you have to learn how to live with that experience. And you hear me say live with, not that this is gonna be a cure or that something is miraculously gonna happen, but you have to learn how to deal with and live with the fact that you have experienced trauma. Yeah. And I say that to a lot of people because I went into the foster care system because my mother has schizophrenia but she's bipolar. Well, her mental health issues have not gone away. You don't wake up one day and you no longer have schizophrenia.
Yeah.
So here I am at this mature age in my life, 46. Don't I look good, America? and at 46, I'm still dealing with a mother who has schizophrenia and she is bipolar. But from that point in my life to today, I had to learn how am I going to deal with this?
Definitely.
How am I going to live with it and strive? How am I going to live with it and live my life? And I can only tell you that because I want you to explore it a little bit so that you don't get pigeonholed.
Yeah.
Because this happened to me, I can't do 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I know better. I've lived it myself. I've lived it. Thank you so much for being here today on Foster to Foster Radio Show. I really appreciate it. Your story is going to be able to help so many young people as we, as former foster youth, try to encourage those that are in foster care to live better and be better and strive for more. My name is Dr. Anissa McNeil. You're listening to the Foster to Foster Radio Show. Thank you for tuning in today. I do the work, and I tell the stories of foster youth. Thank you.